Although it has been 9 years since cycling legend Mark Cavendish lined up for the Giro d'Italia, the 37-year-old is exuding a quiet sense of confidence ahead in Budapest. Mark Cavendish will never be considered the best rider in the history of the Tour de France, since he will never be able to win the race 5 times in a row like Belgian Eddy Merckx and Frenchman Hinault did. Is this a valid assertion? What makes Mark Cavendish so fast? What is Mark Cavendish's top speed? There are a lot more concerns that arise. Hey friends, welcome back to Cycling Right Now. In this video, we are going to find out the evolution of the speed of Mark Cavendish from 2005 to 2022. To know more, let's dive in.
Cavendish hitting the finish line at the front for the first time on the Tour de France in 5 years. The 30-time stage winner picking up number 31. Cue the emotion, cue the drama, cue the tears.
His 24th stage win, which he achieved, was a piece of cake for Cavendish when measured against his warp speed standards. Cavendish's other teammates worked like a well-oiled machine to get him to the end of the race, pulling him along in their wheels and allowing him to build up his speed as they went. Cavendish then whooshed off alone for the final 150 meters, leaving everyone else in his wake. He did this by stamping on his pedals, keeping his head down, and working his thighs like pistons. Cavendish was riding such a wave of success, and his victory in Marseille, France, the country's second-largest city, was so easy for him to achieve that he was able to sit up in the saddle and execute a hand motion that looked like he was cracking a whip as he crossed the finish line.
Third in the end for Pataki, fourth for Cavendish, stage win that is, and congratulations from Eric Zabel, who won a couple of Bordeaux stages himself.
With 34 victories on the Tour de France, Cavendish is tied with Eddy Merckx for the title of most successful stage winner in Tour history. But despite his incredible comeback at the Tour de France last year, when Cavendish ended a long run of illness and injury to win 4 stages plus the green jersey, and despite the fact that the outright stage record is within his grasp, and despite the fact that the race begins in Copenhagen, where Cavendish famously won his world title 11 years ago, there have been doubts as to whether he will be selected this time around. It has been speculated that Cavendish would have to go to the Tour as a second sprinter if he were to be selected, as Dutch sprinter Fabio Jacobsen has been on the list of riders for the Belgian team's tour since the beginning of the season. This year was 109th edition of the Tour de France. "You have to show the Tour de France the respect it deserves," he remarked. "It's the most prestigious cycling race in the world." Cavendish, on the other hand, is unlike any other rider. Before this tournament, he had amassed nearly 5 victories at each previous Tour event since 2008 on average. In 2009, he received 6 of them.
That is Mark Renshaw, the best lead-out man in the business. He can win stages for himself.
He is undefeated on the Champs-Élysées in Paris since 2009, where he has competed in the last 4 sprint competitions and won each one. Even though Cavendish equaled Merckx's record, he still wants that 35th stage win. "It should come as no surprise that I strive to win numerous stages throughout my year. But setting any goals at all, any number, does one of 2 things. It sets you up to fail for something, or it puts like a mark on what you want to achieve, and it can kind of stop you from trying to move forward," he said. "It's either going to set you up to fail for something, or it's going to set you up to fail for something else." Even though Cavendish passed Hinault, this would not indicate that he is a better rider overall than the notoriously short-tempered Badger, who is capable of performing well on any surface. But when it comes to sprinting, Cavendish is unmatched, at least among athletes of this generation. Despite the fact that Cavendish plays down the importance of stage win milestones, he is without a doubt well aware of them. Christian Prudhomme, the director of the Tour de France, said that he quietly tested Mark Cavendish's knowledge of Tour de France history a couple of years ago at the Tour of Oman. He was delighted when Cavendish rattled off the names of André Darrigade, who won 22 stages in the 1950s and 60s, as well as Leduc, Hinault, and Merckx and their respective totals. One of the managers for Cavendish's Omega Pharma Quick-Step team, Rolf Aldag, stated that Cavendish is aware of what it takes to achieve number 1 on the list of riders with the most victories of all time. "He is aware of what it takes," Aldag said. Cavendish is the first person to point out that in contrast to Merckx, he does not win by himself. His teammates put in a lot of hard work to get him situated in the right spot in Marseille. They assisted in bringing back riders who had gotten ahead of the pack and then brought the rider back as quickly as possible to within sight of the finish line. Matteo Trentin, an Italian rider for Omega, pushed his way to the front of the pack and pedaled as hard as he could all the way up to and around the last left-hand curve. He was able to drag Gert Steegmans and Mark Cavendish behind him. Trentin then made way for Steegmans, who led Cavendish at high speed to the signboard signaling 150 meters to go. Trentin was exhausted at this point and made way for Steegmans. After that, everything else was handled by a man who is known as the Manx Missile because he is originally from the Isle of Man. Aldag stated that there would be no alterations to the fundamental plan. The fundamental strategy is that we will always operate on the assumption that he is the quickest sprinter, and we will make every effort to ensure that he comes out on top. Cavendish stated, "I didn't do anything," in response to the question. "Gert went at such a rapid pace that I was able to pick up speed after he let go of my wheel and just keep going at the same pace he delivered me at." Cavendish could fare well on Stage 6, which takes place soon and covers a distance of 176.5 kilometers and travels from Aix-en-Provence to Montpellier. Because of his compact build and short stature, he finds steep ascents challenging. Mark Cavendish is a fearsome sprinter. The British rider, dubbed the fastest man on two wheels, won the UCI Road Race World Championship in 2011 and has 25 Tour de France stages, including the Champs-Élysées Stage 4 years in a row. He has been competitive with everything since he was a child. It wasn't enough to be the best he could be, he had to be the best of everyone, whether it was a spelling test at school, PE, or a social club. He was different from a lot of bike riders, but that makes him good because there's something different about how he raced and something different about his results. It's just that he is a lot smaller, a lot more aerodynamic, and a lot more efficient. His legs can go at about 15 revs per minute faster than the other guys who are bigger and stronger. For them, it's like winding up a toy and letting it go to gain speed because he is small and aerodynamic. He can reach and maintain top speed more quickly. He trains his brain just as much as he trains his muscles. He constantly plays logic games on the iPad such as Sudoku. It strengthens the part of your brain that helps you make decisions and see the big picture. In the chaos that is a bunch sprint, the biggest drainer of energy comes from mental stress and having to concentrate and make decisions. For me, it's about preserving my reserves until the last few hundred meters, so having someone else do those things for him really helps him store his energy. And that's it for today, guys. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please click on the like button and share it with your friends and family. If you have any questions or comments, please share them with us in the comment space below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see even more of our incredible videos. You can also check out our other videos that have been specially selected for you. We'll catch up in the next video.
Turning a huge gear, Cavendish opens up the gap here. Mark Cavendish takes the title again. Cavendish is the champion of Great Britain once more. What an absolutely sensational race.